Thanks for listening to the Pop Culture Cosmos and the PCC Multiverse. Check out more great podcasts today on one of these awesome affiliate networks.
You're listening to a Weeby Geeks Network podcast.
You're listening to the ESO Network, your station for all things geek.
The Tangibound Network. Check it out. TangiboundNetwork.com. Listen to this show, the latest episode, every time.
A proud member of the Gonna Geek Network. The opinions expressed are those of each individual. Check out all the other geeky podcasts over at GonnaGeekNetwork.com and get ready, because geekiness begins in 3, 2, 1.
On this week's episode, Disney Plus blows up the streaming airwaves. Pokemon has a new entry, and the good and potentially bad news when it comes to Star Wars. All this and more as we reach our next stop, the PCC Multiverse.
Don't be alarmed. The quasi-shimmering light before you is a trans-dimensional gateway to other worlds, other voices, other thoughts, and other realities. Up feels like down, and down feels like the number 7 on a Wednesday morning. Don't worry. That quivering, blood-boiling sensation under your eyebrows is all a part of the charm. Welcome to the PCC Multiverse.
And we're back with another episode of the PCC Multiverse. This is Gerald Glassford from Pop Culture Cosmos and Game Source, and also the Lakers Fast Break and Inside Sports Fantasy Football. Thank you so much for listening to all of our great shows. But it wouldn't be a PCC Multiverse without my good friend. He's our own plus of Pop Culture Cosmos. You got to check out what he's doing today at popculturecosmos.com, popculturecosmos.wordpress.com, his hit show Topicocalypse, and also his awesome book, Congratulations, You Suck. It is my good friend. It is Josh Peterson. Should we just name everything a plus now? Because there's Disney Plus, Hulu Plus, ESPN Plus, this plus, that plus, everything plus, 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 plus.
Pop Culture Cosmos Plus.
There you
Only
go.
$6.99 a year, and if you subscribe now, you will get free access to what do we have to give away?
Well, I've got some PC codes for some PC games.
Yeah, you'll get some free access to Gerald's email address, and you can just send him questions and stuff. Yeah, it's a bargain. It's a bargain spread right there.
I can send them plenty of screeners for some low-budget horror movies if they want. I get those in my email box all the time. How about that?
Yeah, that sounds good to me. That's a bargain right there. Subscribe now for $6.99 a year, and then you'll get plus the things that Gerald has to offer.
No. Let's scratch that. No, not the $6.99 a year. Let's hike up the price now. You know what? Just like Netflix, I've changed my mind. I'm going to hike up the price even more. Just kidding, everybody. Just kidding. There's no Pop Culture Cosmos Plus on the way, unless we do a Patreon. So I know that's something that's always talked about, but you know what? We're still thinking about that. But anyways, we've got a great show lined up for everyone out there, including talking about what's going on. You know what's going on, people, because Disney Plus exploded out into the marketplace. We're going to talk the real hard numbers and also the interface itself, because I believe was one of the first people that actually got to use it, download it, and start navigating through it. So I'll give you my impressions. Josh followed suit and also had a chance to go ahead and navigate and look through a lot of the programming that's available and see what's out there and things of that nature. So we're going to share our thoughts on Disney Plus and also have a review of the first episode of The Mandalorian, which I know a lot of people were actually diving into the first thing they would see when they got Disney Plus. So we're going to talk about Disney Plus, The Mandalorian, and all that good stuff coming up here in a minute. Plus also as well, Pokemon Sword and Shield is on the way this weekend. Cool for Switch owners. We're going to talk about that, how well it's being received, and if it's something for you Pokemon fans out there that love traveling and playing on the Switch. Also as well, Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. We've talked about it before, but the plot thickens, my friend, and I'll tell everybody out there as well what's going on with Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order at the back end of the show. So little Star Wars here, little Star Wars there. Plus, also as well, on the back half hour of the show, we're also going to have Rob McCallum and J-Rock talking together about a lot of great pop culture things on his off-the-cuff segment. And also, Josh, I believe a special cut of your Topicocalypse as well?
Yeah, we got a special cut of Topicocalypse, so stay tuned.
Fair enough. Josh, the consumer of Star Wars. So what place can you consume a lot of Star Wars? Well, as of this week, it is Disney Plus, because Disney Plus did debut on the 12th, and a lot of people, I tell you what, they were so excited indeed. I was one of those people. Josh was one of those people. A lot of people are just sizing up the Disney Plus experience itself. It got off to a rocky start because there's a lot of people downloading the app and trying to use the app all at the same time. So there was first day jitters, first day problems. I think there's even some individuals out there that are still having issues with it. Disney has outright apologized, consumer demand. But I'll tell you what, Josh, can I ask you this? When you logged in, did you have any issues? Because Disney did state that they had over 10 million signups after one day after launching it, which is incredible, just mind-boggling numbers right there. Already competing in the space with some of the big boys out there in the streaming market, plus over 3 million downloads of the app on its first day alone. So I can see why there were some issues, because I don't think anybody is going to be able to handle that kind of workload, especially on the first day.
No, I didn't have any issues getting on it at all. I did the subscription thing on a different computer, and then when I got home, I downloaded the app and just logged in. I had no issues whatsoever. I was able to navigate it pretty easy. It downloaded onto the Xbox probably in about 3 minutes, and then I jumped on there and scrolled through all the menus. Of course, they have like the different sections, recommended, Star Wars, Pixar, and things like that. So it's easy to find things. I love how diverse the viewing options are. I love Gargoyles is now trending because so many people have gone back and watched it. They even have Heavyweights on there, which is a movie I haven't seen in a long time.
Robin Hood has been trending.
Has it?
Yeah, a lot of people that we know or that we coordinate with when it concerns the show have just like zoomed in on Robin Hood as, the original cartoon Robin Hood, I should say, as being one of the first places that they went to. I know also as well, and this goes in the discussion with what you would talk about with the social awareness, so to speak, on some of the older films that they have. They do have a disclaimer stating that there were different issues at the time of this release, but they are releasing it in the manner that it was released back in the day. So, but they are putting at least disclaimers, which I think is okay. I think it's acceptable. I think there's no problem with it. They're letting you know right there. They're not giving you any surprises. So, ahead of time that this movie was presented in this fashion back in the day in a different era. So some of the movies like Dumbo and The Aristocrats and things of that nature are being shown with that message in front of it. Like you were talking about, it's very easy to navigate through. I want to give Disney Plus very great props on that. It reminds me, a lot of Netflix. They took a lot of good things out of Netflix as far as to navigate through. I think they made it a little bit better. It reminds me a lot of what I see when I look on my Amazon Fire Stick and I go through all the selections and whatnot. It's patterned in the same way, and I really think it's very easy to navigate through. I can't wait to see some things like the black hole. I know that's something that has also trended as well. A lot of people were interested in that old movie, and they go ahead and they start the rotation of old stuff from the vaults and put that in there. Those are some great memories. And yes, there is a lot to choose from right now. I think well over 500 to start with, which I think is a good place to start for Disney Plus owners.
Yeah, you know what? They even have Atlantis and Treasure Planet on there. I haven't seen anything about the disclaimers that you mentioned. I'll have to take a look at those. But yeah, they have Heavyweights. Atlantis is on there, Treasure Planet. I haven't looked for like Tarzan. There's a few on there that I want to watch, but I do love also you can go back and watch like the 1994 Spider-Man and the Iron Man series, 1992 X-Men series. Like those are all shows that I've always wanted to go back and watch. But it's just there's lots of things on there, and it's going to be worth hours and hours of viewing. Like I said on the show last week, like I feel like this is a subscription service that I feel like I can stay with for a while.
And it's not going to be priced at that same amount. So I'm recommending if anybody's on the fence that they buy in now and that they buy in for a full year or multiple years if they can, because the fact that it's cheaper now because this time next year, you and I both know, Josh, they're going to do the Netflix thing, and they're going to bump up the price at some point in time in the not too distant future. That's pretty much a given in the streaming industry. We've seen it before. Or if you get the bundle, which everybody is now finally starting to appreciate, I think about at least a couple weeks after they introduced it or whatnot, with Hulu and ESPN Plus, that they're bundling all together, I think at $13 or $14. That in itself is a very good deal if you want that well-rounded, including sports, but also a more adult programming as well. So I think that's a great deal if you want to go in on that. And that, I think, beats anything that Netflix by itself or even HBO Max by itself can offer when you have all of Hulu, all the extra stuff ESPN shows that you can't get on their regular site of ESPN.com. And then also as well, everything on Disney Plus. So I think that's a great value if you go towards that route as well. But going through the actual Disney Plus system, it's very easy to navigate through. I didn't have any issues, didn't have any concerns or problems. Only time I did, actually, I should state one, is when I kept wanting to go back to the Marvel, and it actually clunked out on me a couple times. It would let me go back into the Marvel section. But outside of that, it's been pretty easy going through, in and out, and navigating through. My daughters have just loved the fact that Avengers Assemble, the animated series, is on there. I was watching an Avengers documentary that I hadn't seen before. So I really find a lot of great stuff there. I know you were talking about going back and seeing all the Star Wars films. It has every one except for, I think, does not have... Huh?
Doesn't have Solo. No Solo on there.
And does not have The Last Jedi. Does not have Solo and The Last Jedi from what I saw. So outside of that, it does have the rest of them. I think including Rogue One as well, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
Oh, okay. And yeah, so it has that. And for the Marvel films, it has most of the MCU films. Not all, but it does have a lot of the more important ones outside of Infinity War. I mean, if you're looking for Infinity War, it doesn't have that yet. But it does have Endgame, does have Captain Marvel, does have a lot of the other MCU films. The Winter Soldier, which is our favorite MCU film. So I'll tell you what, there's a lot of great stuff that you can navigate through. Not even mentioning the National Geographic stuff, the new series with Jeff Goldblum. There's a new movie, Noelle, with Anna Kendrick, that's not getting the greatest of reviews. But if you're in like a, almost like a Christmassy mood, you want to see a Christmas movie, there you go right there. So there's lots of stuff there for people right now to go ahead and consume. And I think it's only going to get better with the course of time. I think Disney is really behind this 100%. We'll see how long that continues, but they've started off everything correct, in my opinion, outside of the trouble that they had initially with the launch. But I don't think anything in our current internet way of life can all that instant demand and consumption, I don't think our technology at this point in time can really handle that mass consumption all at one time. So you're going to have those issues. But I think by this time next week, it should all clear itself up, and it should be pretty easy to navigate at this point in time. So your thoughts going forward on Disney Plus, are you going to go ahead and make that your first entry, your first stop when it comes to the streaming marketplace? Are you focusing more on what's coming there than, let's say, a Netflix or an HBO Max or anywhere else?
No, not really. There's a lot of things I want to watch on Disney Plus, and of course I'm going to keep going back to Star Wars, but then, I look outside, I still want to check out, HBO's app to see Watchmen and finish Silicon Valley. I still want to go back to Netflix to watch The Witcher, and I know Netflix just signed a deal with Nickelodeon, and there's lots of stuff on other streaming platforms I would like to watch, but Disney is something that's going to keep me busy for a while. So it's something I'm not going to be canceling to jump to another service. It's something I'll keep, because I never know. I might be in the mood to watch Star Wars. I might be in the mood to watch X-Men. I might be in the mood to watch, Atlantis or something. I will be keeping this to go back and watch those, but it's not going to keep me from jumping onto other streaming services, because, I am really excited about The Witcher, and there's other shows coming out on other platforms that are going to be good. Amazon Prime, and HBO, Star. I don't know, Stars is still doing things, but it's not going to stop me from jumping over to other platforms to watch things when they are on and relevant.
You're listening to the Pop Culture Cosmos. Don't touch that dial. Wait, do people still use dials?
For the latest news and information, analysis and opinions on the Los Angeles Lakers and the NBA, check out the Lakers Fast Break podcast today on wherever you get your podcasts. Well, you mentioned The Witcher, and even before its debut, it's already had a Netflix pick up the order for season 2. So that's how much Netflix is excited for it, because they've already picked up a season 2 order for it. So that's amazing that the Netflix is already getting that type of love already. I mean, the advance word, the trailers have come out. A lot of people are dissecting it left and right. So a lot of people are getting excited for it, and I can't wait to see what happens in December when The Witcher comes to Netflix. But for Disney Plus, you mentioned Star Wars. Star Wars had a little entry debut coming out with the advent of Disney Plus, and that was The Mandalorian. And I've got some thoughts on it, but I want to hear yours first, my friend, on the first episode of The Mandalorian and where you hope the series goes from here.
You know, at least from where I'm sitting, is the idea that I don't know where it's going to go. I didn't know really anything about The Mandalorian until I watched it last night, and I don't have any expectations for where it might go. I love the way that it ended. I love like the mystery of like, oh, I've never seen another one of those before. The show has personality. It's gritty to a point. You know, like they showed the guy getting chopped in half by the door. Of course, they're not going to show the blood or anything, but like it got dark. It got that dark, and you know that was. I'm pretty sure this is one of the last things that like there's a model of this that George Lucas was working on before he sold to Disney, the kind of like the criminal underbelly world of Star Wars. And it was kind of cool to see that. What I'm interested in is finding out more about the Mandalorian, where they come from, who is, you know, there's rogue groups of Imperials left out there. So what's happening? Is this game going to lead into, or not game, is this show going to lead into how the First Order was formed? There's a lot of questions there that I have and I'd like to see answered at some point. But right now I'm kind of just along for the ride. It's the first time in a long time I sat down to watch a show, and boom, it felt like it was less than 20 minutes before it was over, but it was actually about 42 minutes. So I'm digging it so far. What are your thoughts on it, though?
Well, you mentioned how fast it went like that. I think that to me was the main issue that I have with it, and that was the pacing. But then again, you and I see all the time when it concerns TV shows, they're always so fast-paced. Boom, boom, boom. Got to finish whatever it is within the same episode. You don't want to do 2, 3, 4 episode arc on that. You got to finish everything in the same episode. You got to find the killer before the end of the episode. You got to solve the crime, the mystery. You got to, you know, whatever sitcom show, you got to have everything done within that period of time. And the same thing goes with The Mandalorian. Everything was like zip, 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 and nothing got a chance to breathe, which to me made it less of an effect on the actual show. I still thought it was very good. I still thought it was something that I considered maybe in a 7.5 overall, but it could have been so much more special to me if they just took maybe an extra 10, 15 minutes, maybe make it an hour. When I sat down and to watch The Mandalorian, I was expecting an hour. When I saw it was only 42 minutes, I was like, really? Okay, that's kind of different. Okay. It's almost like they want to go ahead and put it at a later date on regular television so they can slap commercials on it. So maybe that's their plan in the long term. I'm not sure, but still, I was ready to sit for an hour. And I think that would have been better served for that episode if it had been put over in a course of an hour. I think Taika Waititi's robot character could have been a little bit funnier. I was expecting a little bit more comedy from him, and I didn't really get it. And then also as well, there was a silly scene where the Mandalorian was trying to go ahead and ride one of the beasts that was there on the planet, and he fell off, and it's like, ha ha ha, you're supposed to laugh and all that. I didn't think it went over very well, but still, overall, I liked where it was going. I liked seeing the underside of the actual Star Wars universe, the aftermath of what happened with Return of the Jedi. I would have loved a Star Wars crawl. Can I ask you that? That's one thing I want to ask you. Do you think that this show, to make it even more special, because obviously Star Wars and everybody at Disney wanted to make this special, do you think this show deserved a Star Wars crawl to help explain to viewers what's going on in the beginning?
It would have been cool, but like I look at, Rogue One and Solo didn't do things like that. I'm wondering if they're just trying to keep this as like a separate story, though it does kind of bridge Return of the Jedi with The Force Awakens. So yeah, it would have been cool to kind of see what's going on in the world, go more into detail, give us just a little like taste of who are the Mandalorians, what are they? What you were saying with the show feeling like, you were ready to sit there for a long time. I was too, because that's Star Wars. When you sit down to watch Star Wars, it feels like it is a movie, so you're ready. Yeah, right. And who knows, like maybe the other episodes will be longer, but it's, Disney has a lot of episodes planned. I was looking, it's like 8 to 10 episodes, right, for this season. I'm just curious, is it going to run for another season after that? But it's an interesting world. They've done enough to build the characters. They gave you a little glimpse of what the guy's backstory is. We still don't even know his name, so there's enough there to chew on. But it felt like it ended abruptly, and there's still more things I would like to know. But maybe this is part of their plan to hook you into more episodes. They're trying to pace it out so that there's enough content there to keep you watching from start to finish.
Well, I do love the ending. I do love the twist ending that they put there in the end, that the bounty, so to speak, that they were all going for. I won't say what it is because Disney Plus is starting up, so I won't throw any spoilers yet, or major spoilers, because that is the major spoiler. What is the bounty that they're going after in the initial episode? But I mean, it is a good way to end it. I mean, your thoughts on the ending? Was it something that surprised you? Because it sure did surprise me, and I think it was the best part of the episode in and of itself.
Yeah, it was surprising. Like I said earlier, you've never seen another one of those in the Star Wars universe, outside the comic books. You have never seen more than one of them on the screen. So it was cool, I guess, is my thoughts on that.
You're almost describing it without describing it, so to speak. So you got close there on blowing those spoilers.
Well, I don't know where I'm going with that. All right, keep going. Sorry.
No worries, my friend. But it is The Mandalorian. It actually, like I said, it was a good episode. I think it could have been much better if they just controlled the pacing a little bit more. But still, it was a very good episode. I give it a 7.5, right in there. I know Josh liked it as well. It's something that I am interested in continuing. They've got me hooked, especially that ending. So we'll have to wait and see what is in store with The Mandalorian. As you hear this on Friday, I will let you know that there is another episode that is coming. So they'll have 2 episodes by the weekend already in the fray for Disney Plus. So be sure to catch that. They're not doing a dump like Netflix and other streaming entities are doing with the show. So you'll be able to see it one and one and one and one. So right now, I think a lot of people are excited just to catch the first episode and the second episode that comes out on Friday. So we at Pop Culture Cosmos will continue to monitor what's going on with The Mandalorian. But overall, there are great things that are going on with Disney Plus. We're both excited for it. We've been able to navigate it through for a little while and watch some content already on it. We have good things to say about Disney Plus. We think right now it's a very good value. So if you are on the fence when it comes to Disney Plus, we actually very much recommend it at this point in time. We think it's a pretty good service to go ahead and add into your streaming mix. Or if you want it to be your main one, if you're a big-time Disney fan, we highly recommend it, especially. But even if you're just like a casual Disney fan, you love the Marvel, you love the Star Wars, you like a little bit of National Geographic, you like a lot of the old stuff from Disney, we do highly recommend for anyone out there that's interested, Disney Plus as it's going forward at this price point. We think it's a very good deal indeed. What are your thoughts out there on Disney Plus? Have you got it? Have you downloaded? Have you tried it? Share us your thoughts, popculturecosmos@yahoo.com, plus also as well Pop Culture Cosmos, Humanica Media, and Game Source on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram as well. Well, my friend, it's also a great weekend for Pokemon lovers because Pokemon Sword and Shield does hit store shelves this weekend as well for the Nintendo Switch. I know as someone who also loved Pokemon, the last Pokemon games to come to the Nintendo Switch, and as someone whose daughter also loved Pokemon Let's Go Eevee, Let's Go Pikachu when it came to the Switch as well. I want to hear your thoughts. Are you excited for Pokemon Sword and Shield coming this weekend? There's been very good reviews, very strong reviews on it that only indicates that this is going to be an enhancement on the Pokemon genre going forward.
Well, this is the first mainline game we've seen on an actual console. So, yeah, I'm excited to play, and I think that's kind of the appeal to a lot of people, especially people who grew up with the, playing red and blue, yellow, silver, gold, whatever it is. People my age who grew up playing Pokemon. I guess like the real trick here would be, is this enough to make people who are like me, in their 30s and they got work and they got a whole bunch of other things? Is it enough to make them take time out of their busy schedule to play the game? And, I like you said, the reviews are coming back really well. I was reading the one from Kotaku, and the guy was saying, or, whoever wrote that was saying that it's kind of like, it feels, it's upgraded, but it feels like the same old Pokemon, right? You're doing the same old things. While the game looks great, you're still just going around to gyms, fighting people. They have the giant Pokemon mode, and there's some co-op things you can do in the game, but it's just kind of, it's formulaic, and I guess that's what you expect from a Pokemon game. I'm excited to play. Like, I really did enjoy going back to Kanto during my time with Let's Go Pikachu. Like, it was just nice to see. It's a nice walk down memory lane. So is this game going to have, is it going to have more than nostalgia, I guess? Like, that's what I'm curious to know. I'm going to pick it up. Hopefully I'll get some time to play it in the next few weeks here. But, I am excited to play it. It's nice to see a franchise like this kind of stand the test of time. And I know people are upset about how you can't import Pokemon from your cloud account, and it's not going to have all the Pokemon, but it's exciting to me because it feels like this is, who's to say that you can't do those things further down the line? And it just feels like this is the next evolution in the Pokemon series. Is it enough, though, to keep people going back after they play these entries? That's a whole other question itself. So after I play it, I do want to talk about it on the show. But do you hold any excitement for it? I know you said your daughters are avid fans of the series.
They are, especially my youngest, who, again, played through quite a bit of Let's Go Pikachu. And I'll tell you what, it is something that she's excited for, especially. I mean, they're both Pokemon Go fans. They've both been playing it during the interim as far as between releases, so they constantly are in the world of Pokemon. But something you said about the Kotaku review kind of struck me funny, and that is, where do they want, or where do even you want the Pokemon series to go? I mean, it's not like Pokemon's going to go ahead and have a battle royale like Fortnite, or go ahead and be a first-person shooter that you can go ahead like that, or maybe swing from ropes, or hang on cliffs like Uncharted. So I want to know, and where not only you're thinking, but possibly where the Kotaku reviewer was thinking as well. Where can the series go? I mean, yeah, it's formulaic, but the formula works for so many years. Where do you realistically think it could go?
I honestly don't have anywhere I would like it to go specifically. I'm going to play it because it takes me back. It's a nostalgia trip for me, and like I said, I had a great time with Let's Go Pikachu. Never played Let's Go Eevee, but it feels like this is the right time for Pokemon to be on this console. And I guess as far as like where it could go, I guess the next big evolution would be story. Give us something new, give us something outside of Team Rocket or whoever they seem to be fighting now. Like it's everyone always calls Pokemon like baby's first RPG. Make it feel like a more grown-up RPG. If you want, it depends on who they're marketing to. That's the big question I'm seeing in a lot of these reviews that I'm currently reading is, who is the game for? Because a lot of people are saying they can't figure out if it's for fans of the original Pokemon series or it's for people who have never played Pokemon. So who is the game for? Once that's figured out, we can go back and kind of decide, or they can go back and decide, all right, where do we want to go from here? Like, my hopes would be a story, because I'm a story guy in video games. I always love that. I just look at the way like Final Fantasy has evolved over the years, right? Like, it used to just have the 3-member party system. Are we going to get to a point where like all your Pokemon follow you around and you just go right into battle with them? Like, how is it going to evolve to appeal to new gamers? Or are you just trying to stick with the nostalgia factor and grow up with the people who grew up playing it?
Yes, it is Pokemon Sword and Shield. It is coming out this weekend for the Nintendo Switch. It is going to be Nintendo's big seller, driving the holiday sales this year for Nintendo. We want to hear your thoughts out there. Are you excited for Pokemon Sword and Shield hitting store shelves and being a part of the Switch lineup? Pop Culture Cosmos at yahoo.com. Also as well, Pop Culture Cosmos, Humanica Media, and Game Source on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram as well. Well, we've got something a little bit special coming up for you next. On the back half of the show, we've got two, not one, but two special segments. The first is Off the Cuff with Rob McCallum. And then second, we've got Topicocalypse, a section of that. And by the way, before we head on out to that, where can they go ahead and check out the latest episodes of Topicocalypse?
Podbean, iTunes, Anchor.fm, Google Play, Stitcher, and all of the places where you can find podcasts, for most of them, I'm sure. And also find the Topicocalypse pages on Facebook and Instagram, and visit Humanica Media on YouTube. You'll find all kinds of good stuff there. Also, we're on the Pop Culture Cosmos channel, so you can check us out there too.
That is Topicocalypse. That and Off the Cuff is coming up right after the break. This is the PCC Multiverse.
Get ready for Box Art, a gaming docuseries from Pyre Productions and Rob McCallum Films. If you love video games, chances are there's a box cover or cover image that you love and has stuck with you for decades. In our series, Box Art, we travel across North America to visit with the unknown illustrators and artists responsible for creating the most iconic gaming images of all time. What was once scheduled to be a 90-minute documentary is now a 6-episode season packed with unbelievable tales that paint a picture of the gaming industry you've never imagined. Just one of the many pop culture projects from Rob McCallum and Pyre Productions.
Welcome to Off the Cuff Breakfast Edition with Justin Schoenrock. We are finally really on the precipice of this whole streaming wars thing. Apple Plus has started, Disney Plus, or Apple, is it Apple TV Plus? Is that what they're calling it?
Yeah.
And Disney Plus. I think those two names, one of them's got to go. And I don't think it's going to be Disney. I think you're going to see Apple maybe rebrand that a little bit. Or maybe not refer to it as Plus or something like that.
Yeah, the Plus is kind of stupid.
Yeah. We got Hulu, of course, Netflix, Amazon. Is there, first of all, just too much to watch? Like, how do you decide what to watch with all these different services? I mean, you got HBO and Hulu and all this stuff.
I have all these services, but at the same time, as you know, and anybody else that has small children in the house know, the TV's not yours until they go to bed. And then
it's your wife's.
Well, yeah, unless you somehow manage to, like, converge on viewing habits, you know. Which is challenging sometimes.
Converge by survival. That's what that is.
But yeah, it's so I get about an hour and a half of TV time per night.
Okay.
And you know, the ironic thing about that is, with all of these new shows and all of this new content coming out, I'd say for the past 9 months, we find ourselves binge watching shows from 10 years ago that we've already seen. And that's the weird thing about it, right? Like I'm
going through Breaking Bad again.
Yeah, we did all of Breaking Bad. You know, that was our first binge one. And then when the final season of Game of Thrones was coming out, we decided let's start from the beginning, and we mathematically timed it so that our last episode would end the Sunday before.
Okay, I get you.
So, you know, we did that. And then,
is that because there's comfort and, you know, you're not taking a risk on the precious time that you've got and you want to rediscover it? Is it the hype leading up to the finale?
Possibly, you know, and sometimes it's just it's things you forgot about, right? So, and then like our next one was Dexter. And
yeah, I'm on the fence about revisiting. I bought it on Apple TV because they had it for like $30 the whole season or series, which is a good deal. But that ending, though, man.
Well, I mean, the ending was horrible, but there was so much good stuff leading up to it, and you know, like Danielle had never seen the show in its entirety.
Okay.
So, you know, for me, it was like, all right, I got to enjoy kind of reliving some of this stuff and things that I never realized. And like, now Game of Thrones was a treat to rewatch because having seen it already and knowing what was coming, there were so many things that they had built in to those earlier seasons that were clear warning signs that you never picked up on, or things that you never realized until you rewatched it again, knowing what you know now.
You see, Tanya hasn't seen Game of Thrones, I think maybe half of the first episode. I don't remember season 6. I never watched the last season. So I'm torn between going back and watching with her all the way through, or starting with season 6 and just finishing it, on the fear that she might not like it, and then I'm going to be stuck back somewhere in season 1, having to go all the way through by myself. But I mean, streaming wars are upon us now. Like, everybody, they say right now everybody has at least 2 subscription services on average. Do you think that Apple and Disney's foray is going to make a big dent in it? Is it going to make it harder for people to watch? Well, we've been talking kind of about this, colloquial water cooler type stuff for like ever since Apple and Disney both announced it.
Well,
really.
then you got HBO
and Hulu.
Max
Max is coming
next
out
year.
CBS All Access.
Mm-hmm. Peacock, which is NBC.
Yeah, I forgot about Peacock.
So, I mean,
you got the Peacock.
Show me. Yeah,
do you think they're going to go with that? Do you think they're going to license that for like ads?
I don't. Maybe it wouldn't be a horrible idea, but maybe it sends a wrong message.
I think you and I are on the same page that Disney is a no-brainer. Not just because we have kids, although that is a huge reason for me. I mean, for the last 3 months, I've avoided buying any Disney content from Apple. There's been a few that have slipped in there. Yeah. There's been a few that have slipped in there for traveling. They put it on the iPad for the kids to watch while we're driving, but to see all those legacy cartoons and to see National Geographic is a separate thing, Star Wars, Pixar, like there's just so much to offer, and it looks like the cheapest rate amongst them all too.
Yeah, for the most part.
And in Canada, it's coming out on par for the US, so it's $6.99 in Canada, and with the exchange, that's like $5.25.
Yeah, no, I think the Disney one is going to be great. The Apple one, I'm still on the fence about.
It doesn't have anything major. Like, I mean, on Apple TV, you see the big banners for, is it Morning News?
Morning News and C.
Yeah.
And then, For All Mankind, the anthology series.
My kids like the Helpsters episode that was there, which is the Sesame Street collaboration from the makers of Sesame Street. It's their only kids kind of foray, but they're putting it on the front page because they know kids need something to watch. It was okay. It's about helping people, and it's a bunch of monsters.
Well, there was a lot of back and forth when they were designing that service that they wanted it to be super family friendly. And there's a lot of behind the scenes rumors that a lot of shows got scrapped. This is why a lot of like early creators and collaborators that came in to work on projects ended up leaving.
Yeah.
Now, how much truth is to that? Being that the first episode of C is out, and there are
it's free.
It's free, and in that episode, there are some very non-family friendly scenes. But
what's this show about? Because I don't know anything about it.
In the future, humans have lost the ability for eyesight.
Okay.
It's gone. Everybody's blind. And that's just become the norm. Everybody's just blind. And it's almost back to like kind of primitive times.
Isn't that like a metaphor for today?
Yeah.
Aren't we all really blind?
Yes, it's a very metaphor. But then babies are born and they have their eyesight.
How can they tell? If nobody can see, how can they tell?
They can just tell. You're gonna have to
watch the episode. That's a big hurdle to get over.
You're gonna have to watch the episode to understand. Okay. There's some things in there that are just like, whoa, I can't believe they showed that. But they really go toward the story, and I guess that's why.
It kind of reminds me, though, like Apple TV Plus, which I'm still trying to wrap around my brain as I say it. It reminds me of like when Amazon and Netflix first started getting into their own shows. It wasn't like a big jump into it. I mean, Apple's spending a lot of money. I don't want to say that they're not.
Well,
but the shows that are out there aren't like headline grabbers. They're not like, oh my God, I got to see this. For Netflix, it really wasn't until House of Cards took off that they becoming
House of Cards was like one of their first.
Yeah, and then they became more of like an HBO where they got known for their own content that they were creating. And then Amazon has slowly kind of caught up to that with a lot of their stuff. But I don't see anything so far that I'm like, wow, I got to get Apple TV Plus.
They're doing too much. They're doing too many shows, I feel like, right now.
Their shows, of course, is all based on data and what people watch. So instead of acquiring it, they get to produce it and save the money and have it forever.
I remember the heyday, and again, it's because I think we kind of, grew into watching this, House of Cards, and then these other shows that came out. It was like maybe 3 shows a year, then 4 shows a year, but every one of those shows
was great.
Was like blockbuster.
Yeah, you only needed to watch 4 things every week.
That was it. Yeah,
it was great, and those shows would overlap a little bit, and then one would end, and new one would start.
Yeah. And it was kind of like the way HBO used to do their stuff too. It was just like
Sopranos would end, and then Entourage could come on.
Yeah, everything was set up for a year round, and there was always the tentpole. So maybe Sopranos was fall, and then Boardwalk Empire was this, and something was that. There was always 6 Feet Under, and there was always a thing. So every season,
Sex and the City,
you knew your show was coming on in that season, and now it's kind of, I feel like they're throwing so much to try to appease everybody.
Yeah, it used to be a little bit more like sports, where it's like, okay, the NFL is happening, where it's okay, it's Sunday night, it's football night now. Even the NFL is doing Monday and Thursdays, but still. It's
Yeah,
all,
no, it's
like
HBO
every day is too
owned
much.
Sunday nights.
Yeah.
For what, 10 years?
Yeah.
If not more, HBO owned
Yeah.
Sunday night. That was your spot.
So what are your predictions for all these services? I think Disney is
It's
coming.
a
coming
bubble.
in.
It's a bubble, right?
Do you think it's going to pop? Do you think they're going to go away? Is Apple really going to lose in this race? Is Disney really going to lose?
I think it depends on how they evolve. Now, Disney can't lose. Disney can't lose, right?
Right.
They can't.
You're right. They cannot. It would be impossible
They
for
have
Disney
spent,
to implode.
well, they've spent too much money on property, right? So,
their catalog is
such
so vast.
fan-driven property.
Yeah.
So, between Pixar and their animation
Marvel.
studios, Marvel, Star Wars, I mean, their properties are just insane. And then packaging in their other brands like Nat Geo and stuff like that. And yeah, no, they're destined to be just fine, and especially at their price point, most people can afford that.
So this has been a special edition of Off the Cuff, No Guff.
Hey, you want it off the cuff? You got off the cuff.
It's Off the Cuff. I'm your host, Rob McCallum. I've been joined by our special guest, Justin Schoenrock. If you want to hit me up with any more questions or any topics you want me to riff on, it's at Rob McZob on Twitter and Instagram. Thanks for listening, and we'll maybe occasionally get to you next week. Likely not. That's why it's the occasionally weekly podcast. Cheers.
You're listening to the Pop Culture Cosmos.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Topicocalypse, the only podcast on the internet. I'm your revered or reviled host, Josh Peterson. I'm joined here by our resident meme lord, Brett Cruz.
When in doubt, Jesus and tacos.
And Big Doe.
What's up, Miss Tasty?
Yeah. Do you know that movie's on Amazon Prime now? You can watch it.
You know that there's a ton of people who've never seen it, never heard of it.
How? Actually, I get how, but I mean, it's not like not a lot of people are going to go to a movie called Sex Drive, but it's
so good.
It's funny.
So funny.
It's funny, and the
what's a rolling brown out?
It's nothing brown. Rumspringa. So that guy was on the ABC Family's Greek, and he played like the hardcore Christian kid. It's just his best friend.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and and he's played Rusty in
Hot Tub
Time Machine. Yeah, it's just funny to me because those are two completely opposite parts. Like he's a well-rounded actor. I don't know why he's not in more things, but
maybe he's just selective.
Yeah, that's true. So last week I watched Signs. Did you guys ever, what are your thoughts on Signs?
I just watched that like a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, it holds up pretty well.
It does.
It's a good movie. I know like that movie was filmed back when Mel Gibson was going off the rails or before.
No, it was right before.
Before?
Somebody I know has never saw it, so we watched it. They wanted to watch a scary movie. I said, okay, Halloween, we got to watch some Signs.
It's good because it's scary, but it's more like suspenseful. So it's not like you're seeing somebody get gored. It's more like
it's scary. It's not a gore movie. It's scary.
It's like you don't need like the cheap jump scares where people are.
Some of the best movies are the ones where you don't like Jaws. You don't ever see the shark until the end of the movie.
Yeah,
that's what I think. Like it has changed with what a quote unquote scary movie is that it has to be like overly gory horror, whatever. Where like Signs, Jaws.
You know what it was
like
a more common, a more newer example was Super 8. If you remember that movie. You didn't see the alien the entire movie until the very end.
What do you prefer? Do you like the movies where you're constantly looking at like the frames behind people, or do you like things that are like it's intellectually scary, like you have to just the mere thought of it frightens you. You're not looking for things to pop out at you.
I think it's the same way, and you're probably similar to this as well, Josh. Being someone who enjoys reading, is that your own mind will create something far worse
for sure.
than whatever is told visually. Mm-hmm. And I think, for cheap thrills or whatever, and jump scares, it's always something that pops out at you, and it's always way better when you kind of let the audience, like you give them hints and clues, but it also requires good acting in some part too,
right,
to build that something happens, you're like, oh my gosh, is it like this? And your mind goes crazy because our minds are insanely powerful and we don't give enough credence to that. But It's
Mhm.
like
Imagination.
yeah.
Imagination. I was gonna watch Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. That was the one produced by Guillermo del Toro.
Mhm.
I saw the trailers. It's a horror movie for kids, but it looks terrifying. I'm a 31-year-old man, and I'm
Way to date
almost
yourself.
scared to watch it by myself. The other one
Scary
was
movies still bother you?
no, they don't. I mean, I love them. I'm fascinated by them. I watched Curse of La Llorona, the one that's attached to the Conjuring franchise. Like that was, they tried really hard, and like it had it had interesting lore in it. There's all kinds of pieces in horror movies that make them interesting.
I watched It.
The second
Oh
one.
yeah,
The new one. Or
Oh.
not, I mean, not number 2, but the new It.
yeah.
Oh,
What'd you think? What were your thoughts?
It was good.
It was.
I didn't think it was overly scary though.
No, it was well written.
Yeah.
Like it was. Once you get
was-
past,
There were some parts though where he was like a little too playful, and I'm like, oh, this is ruining the movie.
it's what's his name?
Okay.
Skarsgård.
Yeah,
like
no,
he-
you did an amazing job. There were some parts where it was written where I was just like, okay, he's getting too jokey and like it's getting too like not
like
scary,
like Stranger Things.
kind of.
Yeah. And I think they did a decent job of putting in the suspense in parts.
Yes,
For that?
but they like didn't keep the same energy.
No. It kind of
Yes, seesawed.
yeah.
It felt like a drama mixed with a horror.
It
film.
felt like they
it-
were trying to make it somewhat okay for little kids.
I mean, in that process, though, there were satisfying character arcs. Like, I didn't leave the movie wondering, oh, what happens this? Like, I read the book, and I know there's, like, a lot of it missing from that film, but
Yeah.
I thought it was okay. I came out.
So on that, because, well, it's been a few weeks since Halloween, but I heard
For all of you who are listening to us, Brett just tapped on his watch. Is this an Apple Watch just for the folks at home?
No,
What
it's
is
not.
this?
It's a Garmin.
It's a So Brett got the Walmart of Apple Watches, and yeah.
Hey man,
not
he
Fitbit.
knows a good deal.
Yeah, exactly.
We're not
Someone
all rolling
put-
in money, Josh.
How do you guys live?
You got 2 Macs.
Seriously,
Yeah.
yeah, and all these Gundam models. Jeez,
Fanboy.
what do you do with all that?
But some guy was someone around in like their neighborhood put a bunch of red balloons hanging out of all the storm drains. I'm like, that's good.
Well, let me.
Like the kids,
Like super easy. Just attach a small little like washer to the end of the string, just toss it in the drain and keep walking.
It's even scarier for kids who have not seen the movie though, because they know what it means because they've talked about it with their friends, but they haven't. They like haven't seen
maybe
the film.
maybe.
Like it's not more materialized for them.
not yet. But
I remember
like,
that was the
little-
scary movie in high school.
Yeah,
With Tim Curry.
Yes, that was the best one.
Yeah.
all Tim on that one.
Mm-hmm. There was no CGI. There was just Tim being Tim.
Send us an email at topicocalypse@gmail.com. If not, you can find this episode and more on Podbean, podcast.com, Google Play, Spotify, Stitcher, iTunes, Apple Podcasts, all the usual places. We'd also love you can follow us, like, comment, subscribe, share, all that good stuff on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram. Until next time, it's been a pleasure.
If you need your video game fix, be sure to check out Retro City Games. Located in Town Square on Las Vegas Boulevard or in Henderson, Nevada, Retro City Games has the cure for all your video game vices. Retro games and games for current consoles, Nintendo, Sega, PlayStation, Xbox, and more. Retro City Games has all the staples from any library and some highly collectible offerings too. So pick up a few games today at Retro City Games in Town Square on Las Vegas Boulevard or in Henderson, Nevada. Retro City Games is your video game metropolis.
And we're back to close out the show. This is PCC Multiverse. If you need a listing where we're at, because we're being played all around the world, 7 days a week, on radio stations worldwide, just check out our listings today at Pop Culture Cosmos on Facebook, where you'll also see a listing of many of our over 30 different podcast options as well. Well, Josh, I know you mentioned everywhere you can get Topicocalypse, and I do want to thank you for letting us go ahead and play that section just now, but I want to hear your thoughts on something else you're promoting, and that is your awesome book, Congratulations, You Suck. Where can you buy it? Because I think for a lot of people, it would be an excellent holiday gift.
And make a great stocking stuffer. You can find it on Amazon.com, Barnes & Noble, Powell's Book, and many other secondhand booksellers. So check it out today. Available in physical and ebook format. And go ahead and stop on over to Amazon. Leave a review if you would. I'd greatly appreciate it.
That is Congratulations, You Suck by my good friend, Mr. Josh Peterson. Well, thanks again to Rob McCallum, J-Rock, and also as well the entire cast of Topicocalypse for sharing all their great stuff for us in this past half hour. Before we head on out, my friend, I got to go ahead and touch on something that is in the video game world with Star Wars, once again being the subject as we get into more Star Wars and more Star Wars and more Star Wars. Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order is also dropping this weekend. I know we mentioned Pokemon Sword and Shield dropping this weekend for Switch owners. For everybody else out there that has a console like the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, it's Jedi Fallen Order. But I've got a concern, my friend, and I'm sure by the time this airs, it's all going to play out, but it doesn't look good when you don't release a game for review ahead of time. The embargo for reviews is not being lifted until the actual release date, which over the course of time, 99% of the time, something is up, and it's not good for any game that comes out with a review embargo is not released like that. Because usually you want to release it ahead of time to spur up promotion, spur up good word of mouth, buzz, and all that. EA is not doing it. Plus, EA Access, the thing that you pay for that you've always criticized is almost like for testing and things of that nature, they're not even allowed to go ahead and get it ahead of time. So that tells me there's a lot of problems up ahead that could possibly be in store for Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order.
Well, they did the same thing for Anthem, right? And it ended up coming out and being a disaster. So I don't know. Like, this is the first EA game that I've truly been interested in a long time. And it'd be a real shame to me to see that game not do so well or not be so good, especially since it's considered part of the Star Wars canon. But this also makes me wonder, like, if it's not good and the reviews get really bad for it, will Disney finally cut ties with EA and move on to another company? I don't know why they wouldn't be releasing the reviews for this. Is there anything going on behind the scenes? I haven't read about any of this stuff. So what exactly is going on?
That's the thing. Nobody knows except for if you have a review copy in your hands, you're not able to go ahead and release your thoughts to the public until the actual release day, which, again, like I've said over the course of time, is very problematic. It means you don't want anybody to know what the reviews are until your product is out in the wild and people have already snapped up a few copies. All the pre-orders have already been sold and whatnot. So by the time you realize this is a mess, it's a mess. 99% of the time when this type of stuff happens, I've only remember like once or twice where there's been actually decent reviews for a game that has been, the review embargo has been lifted on the actual day of release. So this is not a good sign. And when EA Access, where you're paying for the type of early access and you're not getting the early access, that tells me there's a problem. I mentioned to you before, I thought the young man that's playing the lead role, the protagonist in Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, reminded me a lot of Hayden Christensen, and I don't mean that in a good way. So I don't know. It seems like to me that this is something that I wanted to go ahead and play because it seemed like very Uncharted-like to me in many ways with a lot of other elements brought in there. It looked good on previews. So I don't know where everything's going wrong. So it kind of scares me. So it's definitely not a day one buy for me.
Yeah, well, it was a day one buy for me, but now I'm having second thoughts about it. It's supposed to come out this week, right?
That's correct. As this show drops, it'll already be out in the wild.
It makes me wonder because like EA has such a bad reputation with people. Why would they not, like, already like coming out at the gates? It's getting bad publicity. Like once an EA game starts getting bad publicity, there's not really a lot of coming back from that for them. So I wonder, like, what is going on in their marketing department, or is it an actual issue with the game? This is fascinating to me. I'm gonna have to do some research on this, but I'm really hopeful that this game is good, especially since it's Star Wars canon. It's tying into the series directly. So this could affect both EA and Disney. So there's a lot on the line for this game.
There is a lot on the line for this game. And you mentioned it earlier, the fact that if this is really bad, if Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order fails to meet any kind of decent expectations, which is leaning on that, and I'm hoping I'm wrong. I'm hoping that it will be some good pub and good press and good reviews for it by the time this drops and by the time the reviews drop for that game. But if the tradition holds true and the advanced word is not good for this game as the game drops on the same day that the reviews are allowed to be released, then that's a bad sign. And you're right. This could lead to a situation where Lucasfilms and also you've got Disney now into the fray could say, hey, you know what? We're just going to cut ties with you once and for all, because Battlefront wanted to, I liked them, but they didn't meet up to expectations. And of course, what you saw, what's going on with all the other stuff relating to what with EA and Anthem and all that. So this is another sign that EA is having possible issues. They just can't seem to get everything straight. They have the resources. They have the studios. They have success stories mixed in with there with Apex Legends and the Madden series, which are been reviewed okay, not great, but have been reviewed good enough, and they obviously sell very well still. So we got one side of the fence is really doing good. Then they've got the other side when it concerns their NBA game that they had to cancel again this year for the second or third time in this decade, and then you have other issues as well when it concerns the Battlefront games that didn't review very well, didn't get promoted very well, and ended up not selling as well as they liked. And also as well, possibly what could happen with Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. You saw what happened with Anthem, BioWare, with Mass Effect Andromeda. So I don't know. EA needs to get its ship right, but it doesn't seem to be getting right at all. And we'll know this weekend, one way or the other, the thoughts of the reviewers out there and the initial reactions for fans that bought the pre-orders or bought the initial copies of Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, because we're going to find out this weekend whether they like it or not. But my feeling is that for the most part, it might not be good. Will it be on the level of Death Stranding, where you're on one side or the other, as you were indicating, as far as if whether or not you should play the game? But I don't know. It's going to be very strange when it comes out this weekend what the reaction is to Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. Any last thoughts on it on the way out?
Yeah, I'm excited to play it. I want to, obviously I'll read reviews now to see what it's like, but it's on like my top 5 most anticipated games of this year. So I'm really hoping that it's not as disappointing as they make it seem. But, obviously we'll see some more reviews popping out here, by the time we record next. So we'll be able to discuss a little bit more, do a little bit of follow up on it. But yeah, I'm hopeful for it. I hope it's just EA being overly cautious and there's nothing actually wrong with the game.
I hope there's nothing wrong with the game, but we'll find out this weekend when it comes to Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. What are your thoughts out there on Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order? Have you played it yet? Do you like it? Or is it something that you were apprehensive about? Or is it something that you're agreeing with the reviewers that only get to release their reviews the day this game gets released? Share us your thoughts, popculturecosmos@yahoo.com. Also as well, Pop Culture Cosmos, Humanica Media, and Game Source on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram as well. My friend, it's been a great episode. But before we head on out, we want to make a reminder again. We need your list of your top 10 favorite movies of all time. We do need as many as possible coming into us. So please, if you can, at all possible, you've got the entire month to do it of November, but we really love to see your list of the top 10 movies of your all time, because we're going to go ahead and make another massive list for our popculturecosmos.wordpress.com site. So if you can, please send us your list of the top 10 favorite movies of yours of all time. You can send it to us on any of our social media outlets, including Pop Culture Cosmos, Game Source, Humanica Media. Doesn't matter. Just send it to us. We'd love to hear your thoughts. You can send it to us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Doesn't matter. Or as well, you can send it to us by email, popculturecosmos@yahoo.com. And then on Monday's show, we've got a great show lined up for you again with the Pop Culture Cosmos, because we're going to be talking the weekend box office and a big-time buzz-worthy movie that a lot of people are looking for as far as the Oscars, and that's Ford versus Ferrari. That comes out in wide release this weekend. Also as well, Charlie's Angels, which has been getting pretty good pub and pretty good reviews. That's also coming out this weekend. So a lot of great interest there. So we'll be tracking the box office this weekend and giving you a report and an update on it on our Monday show, the Pop Culture Cosmos. Any last thoughts on the way out?
No, I saw the redesigns for Sonic look pretty cool.
No teeth.
Yeah, I mean, again, though, this it feels like a lot of this thing with Sonic, and the same thing with the Scooby-Doo trailer, is that it's a lot of older people complaining about things that are meant for kids. So I do like the new Sonic redesign, but as an adult, if I were to go watch the movie, I probably wouldn't like it that much, but I am kind of excited to watch it.
The Sonic, I think it's a step in the right direction. I still won't watch it until it hits home video because it just does not look like it's going to be a good movie. I mean, Jim Carrey is hamming it up and just trying to, bring back the 90s Jim Carrey, and it's unfortunately 20 years too late. But with Scooby-Doo, it looks like a cute version of Scooby-Doo. I don't know why people have a problem with it.
It reminds me of a pup named Scooby-Doo. We talked about that before. I think it looks okay. I don't have the occasion to watch many films these days, but, if I had some time and I was sitting at home, I'd probably turn it on and give it a view.
I would as well. And I think it's going to be something that we're going to be looking forward to with Scoob coming out down the road. So for Josh Peterson, this is Gerald Glassford. It's another beautiful day in paradise right here in the PCC Multiverse. We thank you for listening. And here's hoping you have yourself a great day.
Okay, let's talk about the Flopcast.
Where every week we drink a lot of coffee and we talk about comic books,
movies,
conventions,
music,
Saturday morning cartoons.
Oh, don't forget the coffee.
Lots of weird, obscure pop culture stuff from the 70s and 80s.
And chickens. Yeah, chickens.
This will be the stupidest half hour of your week.
We guarantee it.
You can find us on the ESO network
and flopcast.net.
You're listening to a Weeby Geeks Network podcast.
This has been a broadcast of the ESO Network. Be part of the crew and help support our shows by donating to our ESO Patreon or by shopping through Amazon.com or the TeePublic store, which can all be found at www.esonetwork.com. The ESO Network, your station for all things geek.
Tangent Bound Network. Let your voice be heard. TangentBoundNetwork.com.
Thanks so much for downloading the Pop Culture Cosmos, and stay tuned as more great podcasts are on the way. Thanks again for listening to us here at the Pop Culture Cosmos.